One of the methods used to stop some injection attacks is a file name filter, and it's used very commonly in web applications. It's specifically used in uploaders that want to make sure that a certain type of file is uploaded, but it's also used in many other scenarios, such as like a file manager or other online services. For example, deleting files, creating files, or like handling images the system stores for a particular user. And the systems in these cases use file name filters so that users are limited. In this video, we're gonna go over methods used to bypass these file name filters and the vulnerable filters that are used. So as I said, file name filtering means blocking some file name pattern that limits some file names. This can either be a whitelist filter or a blacklist filter, which either only allows a certain extensions and file names or only blocks a certain set of characters or file names. For example, let's see a blacklist filter that stops all .php files regardless of the name, or .phtml, or any file that has 3 letters and then followed by .php, or any .exe file. These are examples of blacklisting. These are used very commonly, and they have some vulnerabilities that we'll get to. It's also possible to do similar things using whitelistings. For example, only allow .php files, or only .jpeg files, or .bmp files. But generally these are implemented the same way. Let's see an example of vulnerable code that does this. You can see this code, which is available in the chapter materials. As you can see, there's an uploader that gets a file name that's uploaded by the user and attempts to upload it to the target path, which is /upload/ in the current folder. There are a bunch of variables here that are based on the file parameters. There's a blacklist here, and as you can see, it blocks the extensions that are either PHP or SH in the next line here. If the extension is one of those blacklisted file extensions, then it gives you an error, and otherwise it does the actual uploading. So it's a very simple uploader, as you can see. It gets the file name, extension size, and the temporary name of the file. Take a look at it and try to figure out where the vulnerability lies in this file, because that's the first step to exploiting it. So as you can see, in line 6, we're using the substr function to get the extension. It's str right pause. So from the right of the string, looks for the dot position and then adds 1 to that, and anything after that rightmost dot is the extension of the file name. So that's the way we're extracting the extension. Obviously PHP has its own functions which are more robust and reliable for doing that, but for the purpose of our demo we've done this. So this is how we're getting the extension from the file name and checking if it's PHP or SH or anything else, and then checking if that file extension is in the blacklist array. As I talked about before, blacklisting is not the best method to do these things. We can use other extensions to bypass this system. There are a lot of extensions that are not secure, and the server, the application generally does not validate these because they don't know like the whole exhaustive list of file extensions that can be insecure. So some example file extensions that are dangerous can be .bat files, which are batch executables in Windows. Sometimes, some other times, the server filters a specific file extension, but similar extensions that provide similar functionality are allowed. So for example, PHP and PHTML. And the developers are not always aware of this because it relies on the server configurations. So PHP or PHP5 or PHTML generally on Apache servers do the same thing. A secure solution is to create a whitelist for the legitimate file extensions and then block everything else out. And the extensions, the file name extensions, are not always ultimately secure because a file with a certain extension can still be another file inside. So the extension is just the convention that we use. The content of the file do not necessarily follow that extension, but that's the best we can do. So now let's say see a demo of bypassing file name filtering. We're going to use the same code that we saw in the chapter and try to bypass it and hack it. Okay, so we uploaded the file name.php and it was not uploaded, as you can see, because there's no file sent to it. Now let's use Postman to send a file. You can use a bunch of other tools. There are a lot of tools that let you send HTTP requests. Postman is a nice one at those. There are some other tools that do the same thing, and you can ultimately use CURL from the terminal to do that. So let's take a look at the source code. You see that it's exactly the same source code that we had before. It's the one that we discussed in the chapter. Now we're going to use Postman to upload a file there and manipulate the parameters. So the input parameter to this script is only the uploaded file name. So we're going to change the method to post, and we need an uploaded parameter, which is in the body. Form data should be uploaded and the value should be the file. Okay, and the name is uploaded. Okay, and then let's select the file. So you can do the same thing that the browser does using this Postman and send that thing. I sent the bot.php file. As you can see here, we see the error that says file extension is not allowed. So it doesn't let me upload any PHP files here. So now what I want to do is change the .php to one of the extensions that does the same thing but is not blacklisted. For example, .php file will probably do the same thing on the server. So I'm going to open another terminal tab, create a file that has PHP file extension, and then select it here in Postman. Alright, sent the file, and you can see that it was uploaded successfully. So now try to access that file. Uploads / backdoor.php5. And you see that there are no errors, so I'll try to run a command here. Hi should be string, so let's try echo 1 into 1.txt. Okay, let's make sure that the file is here. Yeah, you can see that the 1.txt file is created here. So I was able to upload a backdoor shell and run the commands there. And it's not easy to know exactly what configurations and what sort of things the web server is using, and tightly coupling that is not very wise.